In the heart of Edinburgh, where cobbled streets whisper centuries of history, a woman vanished one ordinary morning. Her name was Suzanne Pilley, a daughter, a friend, a professional, and behind her smile was a story of love, obsession, and a chilling silence that still lingers. Suzanne was 38, a kind soul with a generous heart. She was close to her parents, called them daily, and volunteered around the community. People described her as joyful, dependable, and deeply loyal. She loved books, festivals, and long walks. She had once married her best friend, Peter Duran, in Las Vegas, a marriage that may not have lasted, but a friendship that endured. But like many, Suzanne was not spared heartbreak after her divorce. She fell into toxic relationships, including one marred by substance abuse and another that turned violent. Yet, somehow, she always found a way to move forward. By 2010, Suzanne had started to rebuild. She had a steady job at Infrastructure Managers Limited and a new boyfriend named Mark. Things were finally looking up. But there was one part of her past she hadn't entirely escaped: David Gilroy. David wasn't just a former lover. He was a coworker, a married man with children, and someone she'd had a turbulent affair with for over a year. The relationship had ended months earlier, at least. That's what she thought. Tuesday, May 4th, 2010. It began like any other. Suzanne left her flat, took the same bus, wore her favorite coat, purple-blue, with a shoulder bag slung across. She even stopped by Sainsbury's for breakfast, texting her dad and thanking her mom for feeding her cat, Mercury. But she never arrived at her desk. And for a woman as punctual and predictable as Suzanne, that was alarming. By evening, she was reported missing. Her home was untouched. Passport, money, medication, all still there. Even her fish hadn't been arranged for. Something was terribly wrong. Police reviewed hours of CCTV. They saw her walking near her office, and then she vanished. No footage of her entering the building. No cameras inside, just gone. Attention quickly turned to those closest to her. Her new boyfriend, Mark, was cleared, but then came David. He claimed they'd ended things months ago, but his arms told another story: scratches, partially covered with makeup, his demeanor anxious, sweaty, unlike his usual composed self. Texts from David flooded in hundreds over weeks, dozens in a single day. One text read, "I will always love you." The day before Suzanne vanished, he sent 15 messages and a voicemail. After that day, nothing. Why did a man who couldn't go an hour without texting her suddenly fall silent? Suzanne had clearly been trying to move on, but David, it seems he couldn't let go. Friends described him as jealous, manipulative. At one point, he hacked her emails and threw her belongings out of a window. Another time, he stole her phone. This wasn't just heartbreak, it was control. What do you think about David's actions? If you were Suzanne, how would you feel? Leave a comment below, and now we will continue the story. 2 days after she went missing, David reported his phone and laptop stolen, the only things taken from his home in a supposed break-in. It felt too convenient. Devices that might hold incriminating data were gone. Meanwhile, police pieced together his movements. On the morning of May 4th, David arrived near the office just minutes before Suzanne. He loitered. Witnesses saw him acting jittery. CCTV showed him buying air fresheners later that day, visiting his mother's house, and then returning to the office car park. Investigators believe this is where he moved Suzanne's body to his car. That night, David had dinner with his family, her body still in the trunk. The next morning, David took an impromptu trip to Loch Gilphead for a work meeting he had oddly rescheduled early. He drove through rural Argyll, 400 square miles of wilderness. There were unexplained gaps in his journey: long stops, high fuel usage, foliage stuck in his car. Cadaver dogs would later mark spots in his car. Forensics found damage consistent with off-road travel, but still, no body. A month later, David was charged, But this case was far from simple. There was no body, no DNA, and only circumstantial evidence. Yet it painted a haunting picture. He didn't testify. His wife, though listed as a witness, chose not to speak. Still, the mountain of indirect proof, the obsessive texts, the scratches, the sudden change in behavior spoke volumes. In 2012, David Gilroy was convicted of Suzanne Pilley's murder and sentenced to life with a minimum of 18 years. But justice felt incomplete. Suzanne's body has never been found. Her parents, Sylvia and Robert, searched relentlessly. Her father passed away never knowing where his daughter lay. Her family still waits, still hopes. And David, he remains silent. Even appeals for parole may be denied under a new proposed legislation, Suzanne's law, which states that refusing to reveal a victim's location can be grounds for denying early release. This case reminds us the absence of a body does not mean the absence of a crime, and silence, in the face of pain, is its own form of cruelty. Suzanne deserved more. She deserved a future, a farewell, a resting place. Instead, her memory now rests in a courtroom verdict, in forest trails searched in vain, and in the broken hearts of those she left behind. To anyone who knows anything, even the smallest detail, speak, not just for justice, but for Suzanne. If you believe stories like Suzanne's should never be forgotten, consider liking and sharing this video. And if you're new here, subscribe for more true crime stories that matter.